My name is John, and I'm telling you about the day our family's quiet life in a Charlotte, North Carolina, subdivision was turned upside down by an overzealous HOA member named Linda. My wife, Sarah, and I have lived in this gated community for 6 years, raising our 2 kids, Ethan and Mia, in what we thought was a peaceful, orderly place. I'm a software engineer, Sarah's a high school teacher, and we've always followed the rules, paid our dues, kept our lawn trimmed, and stayed out of the HOA's crosshairs. But Linda, the neighborhood's unofficial watchdog, had other plans. When she tried to use a master key to enter our home, she didn't count on our son Ethan, a 17-year-old wrestling champ with a sharp mind and a sharper sense of justice, confronting her. What happened next exposed her abuse of power and changed our community for good. It all started on a Thursday afternoon in August 2024. Sarah and I were at work, and Mia, our 14-year-old daughter, was at a friend's house. Ethan was home, taking a break from his summer workout routine. He'd just won the state wrestling championship in his weight class, a title that came with discipline, confidence, and a knack for staying calm under pressure. Ethan was in the living room, reviewing college applications, when he heard a strange noise at the front door, a metallic scraping, like someone was fumbling with a lock. Ethan got up, curious but cautious. He wasn't expecting anyone, and we'd always taught him to be aware of his surroundings. He approached the door and heard a woman's voice muttering outside. "This key should work," she said, irritation clear in her tone. Ethan peeked through the peephole and saw Linda, a 50-something woman known for her relentless HOA enforcement. She was holding a keyring, trying one key after another in our lock. Linda was the head of the HOA's compliance committee, a volunteer group that patrolled the neighborhood for rule violations, things like unapproved mailbox designs or hedges an inch too tall. She was notorious for her nosy inspections and passive-aggressive notes, but this was new. She was trying to get into our house. Ethan opened the door just as Linda inserted another key. She jumped, dropping the keyring, her face flushing red. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked, his voice steady but firm. At 6 feet tall and built like a linebacker, he wasn't intimidating by choice, but his presence made Linda step back. I'm conducting an inspection," Linda stammered, clutching her clipboard. "Your family's in violation of HOA rules. I have authority to check inside." Ethan crossed his arms. "What violation? And since when does the HOA have a key to our house?" Linda straightened, trying to regain her composure. "Your backyard landscaping isn't compliant. The shrubs are over the height limit, and I need to verify from inside. The HOA issued me a master key for emergencies."
Ethan didn't buy it.
We'd received a notice about our shrubs a week earlier, claiming they were 2 inches too tall. Sarah had already trimmed them, and we'd sent photos to the HOA to confirm. More importantly, no HOA rule allowed board members to enter private homes without consent. Ethan knew this because Sarah had made both kids read the HOA bylaws after a neighbor got fined for a minor infraction. "Show me the rule that says you can come in," Ethan said. "And where'd you get that key?" Linda's eyes darted to the keyring on the ground. "It's standard procedure," she said, her voice rising. "You're just a kid. You don't understand how this works. Step aside, or I'll call the police." Ethan didn't move. "Go ahead and call them," he said. "I'll wait." Linda hesitated, then pulled out her phone and dialed 911, claiming she was being threatened by a resident during an official HOA inspection. Ethan stayed calm, stepping back to grab his phone and text me, "Dad, Linda from HOA is trying to get in our house with a key. She's calling the cops." I was in a meeting, but the message lit up my phone, and I stepped out to call him. "Stay calm, record everything, and don't let her in," I told him. Ethan was already one step ahead. He'd started a video on his phone, propped on the porch railing, capturing Linda's every word. By the time I got home, 2 police officers were there, talking to Linda. Ethan was standing on the porch, arms crossed, his phone still recording. Neighbors had gathered, drawn by the police lights. Sarah arrived minutes later, her face a mix of worry and anger. I approached the officers, Jenkins and Patel, both of whom I'd met at community events. "What's going on?" I asked. Linda spoke first, pointing at Ethan. Your son threatened me. I was performing a routine inspection and he got aggressive. I have every right to be here. Ethan didn't flinch. She was trying to unlock our door with a key she says is a master key. I asked her to explain, and she called the police. Jenkins, the senior officer, turned to Linda. Ma'am, do you have authorization to enter this home? Linda held up her clipboard. I'm with the HOA. We have rules about landscaping, and their shrubs are non-compliant. I have a key for inspections. Sarah stepped forward, her teacher voice cutting through. There's no rule allowing HOA members to enter our home. We trimmed the shrubs last week and sent proof. And where did you get a key to our house? Linda faltered, clutching her keyring. It's a master key for the neighborhood. For emergencies. Patel raised an eyebrow. Let's see it. Linda handed over the keyring, which had several keys labeled with house numbers. Patel's face tightened. Where did you get these? Homeowners don't provide keys to the HOA. Linda's confidence cracked. They're for maintenance. The board approved it. I shook my head. I'm on the HOA email list. There's been no vote on master keys. This is illegal. Jenkins took the keyring and asked Linda to wait by the patrol car. He turned to us. We'll need to verify this. Can you confirm you didn't give the HOA any keys? Absolutely not, Sarah said. We changed the locks when we moved in. Those keys aren't ours. The officers took Linda's statement and the keyring as evidence. They didn't arrest her, but told her not to return to our property. Ethan handed over his video, which clearly showed Linda trying to unlock the door and her flustered response when confronted. The officers left, promising to follow up, and the neighbors dispersed, whispering among themselves. I could tell this wasn't over. Linda's actions were too bold, too deliberate, to be a one-off mistake. That evening, Sarah and I sat down with Ethan and Mia to talk. Ethan was shaken but proud of how he'd handled it. I knew she was wrong, he said. I just didn't expect her to have a key. Mia, usually quiet, was furious. Why does she think she can just walk into our house? That's creepy. Sarah and I agreed. We called an emergency HOA meeting for the next evening, emailing the board and copying every resident on the community listserv. We attached Ethan's video and a summary of the incident, demanding answers about Linda's master key and her authority. By morning, our inbox was flooded with responses from neighbors, some shocked, others sharing their own stories of Linda's overreach, fines for minor violations, unannounced inspections, and vague threats about compliance. The meeting was packed, with over 50 residents crammed into the community center. Linda was there, sitting with the HOA president, Karen, who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. Karen opened the meeting, trying to downplay the incident. This was a misunderstanding, she said. Linda was acting in the community's interest. I stood up, keeping my voice calm. Linda tried to enter our home without permission, using a key she shouldn't have. That's not a misunderstanding. It's a violation of our rights. We want to know where she got that key and who authorized it. Ethan spoke next, recounting the incident in detail. His confidence, honed from years of wrestling and public speaking, silenced the room. She said it was a master key for the neighborhood. If that's true, how many other houses has she tried to enter? The room erupted in murmurs. A neighbor, Tom, a retired lawyer, stood up. I've lived here 10 years, and I've never heard of the HOA having keys to our homes. This is a serious breach of trust. Linda tried to defend herself, claiming the keys were for emergency maintenance and that she'd been given them by a former board member. But when pressed for specifics, who, when, and why, she couldn't answer. Karen admitted the board had never approved a master key program. The mood turned against Linda fast. Neighbors demanded an investigation, and Tom proposed a vote to remove her from the compliance committee. It passed overwhelmingly. Over the next week, the police investigation uncovered more. The keys Linda had weren't master keys. They were duplicates she'd obtained illegally, likely from a locksmith she'd convinced with her HOA credentials. She'd been using them to conduct inspections inside homes when residents weren't there, looking for violations to justify fines. The police charged her with attempted unlawful entry and possession of unauthorized keys. The HOA board, under pressure, hired an independent auditor to review their practices and revoked the compliance committee's authority to patrol without oversight. The neighborhood was never the same. Residents formed a watch group, not to enforce rules, but to protect each other from overreach. Sarah and I installed a security system, and Ethan started teaching Mia self-defense moves from his wrestling training. Linda moved away a month later. Her house sold quietly. The story made local news, with Ethan's video circulating online, sparking debates about HOA power and privacy rights. Ethan became something of a local hero. Neighbors stopped by to thank him, and his wrestling coach used the incident as an example of standing up for what's right. Sarah and I were proud, but we also worried about the toll it took on him. He admitted he'd been scared, not of Linda, but of what could have happened if he hadn't been home. We got him into counseling to process it, and he came out stronger, more determined to study law like his mom. For me, the incident was a wake-up call. I'd always thought our neighborhood was safe, that the HOA was just a nuisance. But Linda's actions showed how far someone could go with a little power and no accountability. Ethan's quick thinking stopped her, and I'm grateful every day for his courage. The HOA's still there, but they're on a tight leash now, and our community's stronger for it. Linda thought she could walk into our lives with a fake key and a clipboard. She didn't count on Ethan or the family he's part of.